Hi guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Catz R.A.T 8 Plus, which to me is the most customizable mouse or gaming mouse you will ever find. Now, for those that are aware, Catz used to produce a lot of mice. It filed for bankruptcy and then got bought out, and I'm glad to see it back around because a lot of people actually quite liked this really mad design. Now the thing is, this mouse that you can see in front of you is the anniversary edition. It's the 30th anniversary edition, the 1000 gaming mouse. Now you can find this mouse, as in the one that's right in front of you, for £120, which is an awful lot of money to spend. If you don't want to go for the anniversary mouse edition, you can go for the normal 8 Plus, and that one can be found for £100, which is still a lot of money. So let's see if it's worth it. Now let's talk about the build quality and design. And to me, this is, as I said before, really customizable. Now the cable itself is braided, which is nice to see. It's a USB that comes out and it connects on the left hand side of the mouse, which is quite odd given most people will have their PCs on their right. But nevertheless, it's worth bearing in mind that where it is. You won't have any drag or anything like that with the cable because of the actual quality. It's a non-removable cable, and as you can see through the mouse itself where the scroll wheel is kind of sitting. Now, in terms of what you do with the mouse, well, to be honest, you can customize this to your heart's content. Now, underneath over here, what you'll find is a little tool which you remove, but also is a way of accessing the weights. Now, the mouse itself weighs 127 grams, and each of these weights are 6 grams, which means that you get 145 grams of total weight. So 127 grams is already heavy. 145 is among one of the heaviest mice you will find out there. So you can add the weights in from here, as if you just unscrew this and then pop in the weights, which if I just do one like this, for example, then you'd have the little spring mechanism, put that in, and then which holds down the weights, and then you will screw this back on to hold them all in place. Now I'm just going to get this out because this is actually also a tool which allows us to customize the actual mouse. So first of all, let's talk about the top. Now the top has a palm rest, and the palm rest has a little mechanism, a little button over here. You press this little button and then you can adjust it back and also forth. Now you can completely remove it. Sometimes it takes a little while, but as you can see, you can remove it completely. And in the box, what you'll find is one which is, well, there's one that has a little sort of rubbery feel to it, another one has like a pattern non-rubbery feel, and the other one's completely clean. So depending on which one you prefer, you can go for it. Then on the right hand side, you've got your pinky finger where it kind of sits. You can also customize this. Again, you've got ones to really kind of suit your style. What you do is put in this tool and essentially unscrew it. Sometimes it can be a little bit finicky to do, but once you get it in properly, it is quite easy to remove, which I'm not really making. I'm making meal of it, to be honest, but here you go. Remove it just like a normal screw, and then remove the part like so. And then you can add either of these ones instead. Again, rubbery, non-rubbery, and then this one is pretty much like a full-blown, you've got a little rest on the right hand side. Then you've got on the left hand side where your thumb would be sitting. Now this is really made for right-handers. You can see that the thumb grip over here is kind of angled on the side. This can be adjusted via this little mechanism over here. You loosen it up, and then you can see that you can essentially customize it, not to your heart's content, but to give you a little bit of an angle there. Once you've found the perfect spot, just screw it in and then it stays. Then you've got this part underneath, which then adjusts the height of the actual unit. Over here it goes backwards and forwards from a little bit. And as you can see, this mouse is pretty much torn apart. You've got all these little bits coming out, and this customization hasn't ever been seen by other mices out there, other mice out there on the market. Only Catz was really the one doing it. And it's quite unique, and it's quite nice to be able to tailor that. Now, in terms of the actual buttons, you've got 11 programmable buttons on this device. More so the fact that you've got a nice little scroll wheel over here, which I've actually used to assign it to my volume. So therefore I can adjust the volume over here while also scrolling with a normal wheel over there. So the buttons themselves, in terms of layout, you've got quite cleverly 2 buttons built into this one little RGB button over here, one where you press right there and one when you press right here. So it can be a little bit finicky to do, but once you get used to it, for example, you click upwards or downwards, as the video would be, to activate that one button, and then click downwards like that to activate the other button. Then you've got 2 buttons on the side over here, another button over here which is usually used for the sniper aim, which kind of like slows down, well, it has a DPI much lower, so you can aim with your sniper. You've got a button over here as well. The volume wheel, you know, again, they can be customized to different actions. Then you've got the left and right button, and you've also got the scroll wheel button. And even the scroll wheel as well can be customized. So ultimately, everything you can see on the mouse really can be customized. So now let's talk about the actual performance, and what I'll do, I'll just pop these parts back on just to just kind of temporarily, so you guys can actually see an actual mouse in operation rather than something that's kind of in bits. But essentially, let's talk about the actual performance of this thing. Now, the mouse itself, as I said, is quite heavy, so you will first of all have to bear that in mind, and in order to adjust your playstyle, because if you're someone who's sniping, then you might find this mouse a bit too heavy, because it'd be quite hard to drag left and right across your mouse pad. Then in terms of the actual feel of it, it is quite a flat type of mouse. As you can see, it doesn't really have much of an arch. Now, of course, you can have this sitting a little further back, but it's not really going to give you that arch. That does mean that it will fit a certain type of gamer. It does fit claw, palm grip, and fingertip grip users. However, it is still very much a flat type of mouse, so worth bearing in mind when it comes to using it. And again, that kind of links into the performance element of it, simply because it is quite important for you to be using it and be comfortable, and therefore performing at your peak, so to speak. Now, the mouse itself has a Catz 3389 optical sensor inside, and to be quite honest, that is a flawless sensor that's found inside. Essentially, this means that this mouse will perform perfectly across most surfaces, specifically mouse pads. It has perfect one-to-one tracking. The actual lift-off distance can be adjusted between 2 and 3 millimeter. You can also calibrate that through the software. Then in terms of the actual buttons, they work flawlessly and they have no problems in terms of registering. I do find that there's a bit of a lag between setting your buttons through the software and actually getting them, but that's regardless of the actual performance you get once it is set up. It also has onboard memory, which means you can take the mouse to a LAN party and not have to worry about installing the pretty poor software. And then you've also got RGB lights, which doesn't add to performance but adds to the aesthetics. So when it comes to actual raw performance, this mouse is fantastic in terms of performance. I have no complaints whatsoever. Now, in terms of the software side of things, I'm really not that impressed by the software. It looks pretty primitive, and I'll just show you this. The software itself, it's not the best. I think people have even criticized it online, and I can see why, just because it really isn't something that is as pleasant to look at versus its competitors. You do have every single option you can think of, such as shortcuts, keys that you can assign, favorites that you've added, or even create custom assignments per key. As I said before, you can adjust everything that there is on the mouse. It's 11 buttons in total. Then in terms of the settings of them, you can set 4 levels of DPI. Of course, you can have a DPI switch when it switches between them, and you can adjust the Y and the X and the Y axis to be different from each other, which is pretty cool to see. Then also you've got the lift-off height, which I said about 2 millimeter or 3 millimeter, and you can also calibrate it as well. Then other than that, you've got the Rotax, which in all honesty, you know, it's depending on how you hold the mouse. You can again adjust that to your liking. So there is plenty of options here to customize the mouse. There's loads of things over here, fully fledged, you know, software which really offers every sort of customized options that you'd like, but I just don't think it's really that polished, and it just seems to be a little bit clunky. Specifically when you apply settings, sometimes it does freeze your mouse and then resumes it again, whereas other mice are pretty more seamless when they're operating. So overall, what do I think of this mouse? Well, to be quite honest with you, I really like the the fact that you can customize it to your heart's content, and the fact that it does really do everything that you'd want it to do, even from the software to the actual hardware. However, it's very expensive. £100 to £120 is a lot of money when most of its competitors are asking for around £40 to £60 tops. And for wired mice, that is, with a similar type of sensor. So overall, if you want the most customizable mouse, then you have to get this. If not, look elsewhere. There we go, guys. I've been Totally Dubbed. If you liked it, make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe. It always helps the channel grow. Take care, guys. Totally Dubbed out. Bye-bye.